Hey, welcome to another edition of Kyle Meredith with the interview series presented by WFPK at WFPK.org. Consequence of Sound and the Consequence Podcast Network. Thank you so much for checking us out. As always, you know the drill. If you like what you see, hit that subscribe button. I put out 3 new interviews every single week, a brand new one every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. A great way to keep up with all of your favorite artists. And I got to tell you, I'm really looking forward to this conversation because I got 2 great artists on the line. We got Jacoby from Papa Roach and Jeris Johnson. Hi, guys.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That's a hell of a hello right there from both of you. It's cool to have both of you here. The reason being, you both sort of got new releases that we're working on here, but also there's a collaboration, and I want to hit on everything involved in everything that I just said right there. But we'll back it up. So what I'm talking about is a couple things. Jacoby, Infest turned 20 in the past year. I know you're also working on a new best of album that's coming out. And Jareth, congratulations, because you just released, I guess it's the debut EP with My Sword, right?
That is correct.
Yeah. So this turns out on your EP, you do a new version of Last Resort, the Last Resort Reloaded, and this has turned into more than just a collaboration from what I've seen. I mean, I guess there's a bit of a mentorship happening here. Is that right?
That's one way to put it. He's like,
Clipped up.
yeah. Jacoby's like my really cool uncle that lets me break all the rules and eat junk food. You know, that's what he's like. No, it's been great. Yeah, this whole thing, you know, over the way it's all unfolded over the past couple of months has been very just magical, you know, and there's just been an energy to it the whole time. And it hasn't stopped, you know, it hasn't stopped. The song came out 3 weeks ago and it's already almost at 4 million streams. And, you know, it's like, it's just the energy behind what has happened here is just, it's incredible.
Yeah. So Jacoby, for you, I mean, checking out Jeris's music right here, what attracted you to it? I mean, because there's a lot happening, obviously, with this song. I mean, do you hear, you know, the DNA of what you've done in this, or is it something you're hearing that's brand new?
Well, I mean, we saw Jeris on TikTok, right? And so our friends hit us up. Yo, check this out, man. This dude dropped this remix kind of thing. And at the end of it, you know, is a little tag in it like, yo, just imagine if I get like a P Roach collab out of this. And we saw that and I was like, oh shit, this kid's legit. And so we were down kicking, doing drums, and I had invited Jeris out to the studio, and we just clicked, man. I'm always into checking out new artists. I'm really got a ear for listening, you know, to this modern music these days, and where people are taking rock music, and you know where people are taking hip hop and electronic music. And so I'm always trying to discover something new. And Jeris was that cat, you know, and I was just like, all right, this kid's legit, you know. And he came to the studio and I was like, I'm gonna vet this kid, like, to see if he's the fucking real deal. And I mean, yo, what's your pedigree, dude? Tell me about where you came from. And I learned a lot about Jeris in that meeting. And I was like, all right, we started trading tracks. You know, I was playing him new Papa Roach and he was playing me a bunch of his stuff. And I was just like, oh fuck, dude, this is like, you're a real artist. It's not just like some cat just making noise on TikTok. It's like he's an artist. He's using TikTok as that platform. And it was just like, all right, let's go. Let's get in the studio and take this motherfucker to the house. And we did that. And then people heard, you know, what Jeris had brought to the table, and us blessing the track. And then next thing you know, now we're making a music video for it. And I'm like, oh shit, like, let's go. And it's just like Jeris said, it just kind of like it's like it's happening, and now it's almost 4 million streams on Spotify platform. You know, that's not counting Apple. That's not counting where other places people are listening to it. And it's just exciting. I think Jeris really brings something fresh, modern, original, and different to the table right now. And that's what I think that's what music needs, is people that are just being authentic to themselves and being real and not giving a fuck about this or that and the other. It's like, who are you? Mm-hmm. And to see his self-discovery through his EP and what he's doing. It's like, fuck, man, dude, I rock that EP hard, bro. I've been listening to it so much, dude.
It's all your son. Your son just makes you do it, right?
Dude, some of that bass work, dude, I gotta say, dude, Rose is Red, bro. That one just it's dope, bro.
Yeah. Well, especially in your truck speakers, bro.
Yeah, I got them slappers.
Jeez. Yeah.
I'll echo that, Jeris, too, because, you talk about that bass work. One of the songs that really stands out for me on it here is the track called Under, which has a completely, I think, different feel from everything else that's happening on the record. I don't know if you had any kind of grand vision going into this or this is just how it turned out, but how does that one really fit into what you're doing and really what he's talking about here?
To be honest, that's just an old song. Like, I just made that a while ago. Like, I kind of made that, like, as an artist, you're kind of constantly, especially like an artist like me who's just kind of now, like, I'm like having a coming of age like moment in a way where I'm like kind of really realizing like who I am as an artist, or like where I could be, what I could be, or where I could take things. And so I had just made that, like, I had made that before I was on TikTok. Like, before it was like, that was just a song that I have had that I was just sitting on. And so I just lumped it in with everything. And so that's the honest reason why it sounds different. It's because I hadn't quite like reached my, like, I hadn't quite evolved my sound or like my vocal style or my, my production style to be kind of what it is now or like where it's going. But that was still a really cool snapshot in time of like, it's a cool song still. So I was like, screw it, I'll just put it out anyways. Better put it out now. I mean, it'd be even weirder later. So might as well just put it out now and just kind of show people like a little different vibe or like side of everything. So
right.
Yeah.
There's a part of this, Jacoby, I wonder how you react to this too, because especially when you have an artist as yourself, Jeris, coming from TikTok, the songs are shorter. That's part of the conversation right now. But what you can do in 2 minutes used to be what we were told to do in 3.5 minutes, and how that's working in there. Jacoby, is that something you notice? Is that something can you figure out that type of songwriting yourself?
Well, it's trippy that you bring that up, man. It's like, I've been doing a lot of research in like modern music and what people are doing, and shorter songs is definitely part of it, but that isn't anything new. It's like you listen to the old Motown tracks. It's like they were 2 minutes, maybe 2 minutes and 10 seconds, 2 minutes and 30 seconds on the long side of one of those tracks. And so it's trippy because now I'll go listen to like some of the stuff that I grew up listening to, and like when you get into the bridge and the middle 8 or the middle 16, it's like I'm like, just give me the fucking hook, get me the fuck out of here, dude. Like, it's trippy how it's changed the way that I listen to music. And even on our last like 2 records, bridges have now kind of become this section where it's not about new lyrical information, it's more about something musical. What musical section can happen here to break up the pieces and treat it more like, not I'm going to take you to this other key change in this other place. And it's got us experimenting with the way that we approach music. And, even with our first big hit, Last Resort, it's like the arrangement of that song. It's very, it is a 3.5 minute song, but the arrangement it's odd as fuck. Like,
so weird, dude. Yeah.
Yeah, it is, right? Picking it apart, you're like, whoa, where the fuck? Yeah. It's an adventure. It's a journey.
Yeah.
Well, you bring that up, and I'll take that bait too, because that is the collaboration that kind of gets all this started here with Last Resort Reloaded. And since the album turned 20, I do want to play a little past and present here. What did that song say then, as we heard a lot, especially in the interviews back then, what you were telling the story, versus what does it say now? Is it anything different that it gets to say now? Because the conversation from where that song came from seems to have morphed and changed a lot in the last 20 years.
Oh yeah, man. It came from a space of dealing with, one of my best friends attempting suicide, and then me trying to make sense of all that and putting it into a song. I write most all my music in first person. Not every song is always about me. It was a powerful thing to be able to take that emotion and put it into music, and it spoke to a lot of people. People have found themselves in some real dark moments in their lives, and this music it's about confronting that dark space and bringing it to light. And Jeris brought it and put his own flip to it. So I'll let Jeris speak on that.
Yeah,
sure. Yeah. I kind of felt like, like a similar way of like how the song has evolved in terms of its place in culture and kind of what it makes you feel now. It's like, it's really evolved in its place in like meme culture and like, and it's really the feeling you get from it now is a lot more to me one of positivity, and actually nostalgia and energy and like, kind of happiness. So I took that, form of it and just, like I just as everybody have been through, a variety of dark things and, like poor mental health states and all that kind of stuff. But, right now and where I'm sitting right now, life is really good. And I wanted to, I guess, always be authentic with like where I'm coming from emotionally, And so when I made the remix, I kind of just went in more of a like, hey, like, kind of shining a light on maybe like where like I came from with that stuff or like where one would come from that, but more placing it on like, yo, like you can overcome it and like life is good and like it's worth living now. And it's
right.
and it's dope.
Life rips, bro. Life rips.
And just kind of bringing more of that confident, fun, like energy to it. You know what I mean? And because that's kind of the way I feel like the actual song has evolved as well. So I don't know. It just seemed fitting.
Yeah. And again, 20 years ago when that song came out, and Jacoby, you know as well as I do, I mean, the conversation around mental health, it wasn't the same. Like you could talk about suicide as you did, and everybody understood what you were saying. And as we know now through history, you had issues even after that, that you were having to deal with. I mean, for you, have you seen that conversation really blossom as well?
Most definitely. It's something that, in current culture, mental health is the new forefront of our health and well-being as humans. We've learned a lot through modern science about the physical body, but the mind is the next space where we are venturing into, and it's a conversation that is been dying to be had. Because you look at the old sanitariums back in the day and like the archaic things that they were doing to people to cure them of their ailments. It's we've come a long way, and I think conversation is a great space where we're at. Is now we're willing to hear each other and understand each other, and I think that my friend said, he's like, you want to know like how we're going to evolve? He's like, you want to be a fucking genius, Kobe? He's all, be compassionate. And I was like, he's like, compassion is genius. And I was like, yeah, I'm into that, man. And so to really be able to look at somebody where they are and having compassion for them and understanding and lending an ear, like that's powerful shit, man. That really is. And I've found that, when I open my mouth and I talk about what's twisting me up, it's like I find that, and there's someone willing to lend me an ear, it's like it helps. That's all I'll say. It helps. And I've been that to other people, in real life situations. And I feel that that's compassion. That's empathy. And let's not lose that, people. I urge people, don't lose that, man, because that's what's going to take us to the next level as a people, I believe. So that's how I approach life these days is to be an open book and also be compassionate and empathetic towards people, because everybody's got their own can of worms they're fucking dealing with, no matter how good we paint it, right? Everybody's got it.
Yeah. And you've gone through the ringer on this. We talk about this album being Infest, I mean, being somewhat, autobiographical, whether you're talking about yourself or not. And then, of course, what happened afterwards? I mean, you were still, even with success, you were still dealing with mental health issues. You were still dealing with depression, and now you have to do it on a world stage, which only amplifies all of those causes. Like, what's the how did you make it through? How did you get to the good point that you're in now?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, my solution for all my problems back in the day was drinking and drugs. You know what I mean? Straight up. It was just like, I was straight to the bottle, dude. It was the quick fix for me to feel okay in my own skin. And that was not like a long-term, the efficacy was in that was nil. You know what I mean? And I went to the bottom, dude, and I had to hit rock bottom and face like who I had been running from. And once I did that, I started to grow. You know, in 2004 is when I first tried to put the bottle down. I've had some relapses over the years, you know, and now I'm 9 years off of alcohol, which is powerful for me. That's a major issue. And like, you know, I slipped up. I was smoking weed again for a little while, and so I'm like 81 days clean and sober off of, you know, marijuana. And that's been a really like growing. I've learned a lot about myself, you know, because in COVID, man, I just got like complacent, man. And I was like, I just want to smoke some weed, you know, but it just, all that did was amplify all my insecurities and all the noise in my head. It just amplified all the bullshit. I'm like, what am I doing to myself? You know, so for me, really uncovering all that madness and confronting it as it comes up in my life is what's given me the opportunity to like survive and to thrive, you know, because my life is not all pain. It's there's a lot of beauty and a lot of things to be grateful for. I got a fucking awesome wife. I got amazing children. I got great friends that love me even through my crazy, you know what I mean? And I got music. I got fucking rock and roll. We got our fans. I got new friends. You know, this cat Jeris, it's like, it's cool to be able to like bold enough and brave enough to put myself out there continuously and create new music. Like we just found out we got another gold record. Help went gold. Holy shit. Our song Born for Greatness is like inches away from going gold. And I'm just like, man, I got to keep trudging this road, because the more and more that I face these things that have kind of tweaked me the fuck out, like the good things happen, man. I just got to get out the way, dude. Sometimes I'm my own worst enemy, bro. That's the facts.
Well, Jeris, you're on the upslope, you know, that we're talking about with Jacoby from 20 years ago. I mean, you're finding this success right now. Are you able to kind of get a handle on all of this as it's ramping up?
Yeah. I'm a completely sober like person, you know, like I don't drink or do drugs or anything like that. And I never really have. I went through a phase of smoking weed for like a couple of years straight where I was like really into it. And then I was like, what am I doing? This isn't who I am. Like I need to like just be sober and like just be me, you know? So I have been lucky enough to like have a really good grasp on like not letting myself fall into those kinds of destructive habits. And you know, I'm not perfect. It's not like it could never happen, you know, like, I don't know, but I feel really good like about everything, and I've always had a good head on my shoulders, and I feel like I've always been able to maintain, you know, relative like emotional just like poise through stressful situations and stuff. And this is the best kind of stress there is, you know, like give me more. This is what stress is like. Then, you know, I want the whole thing. You know what I mean? Like, so I'm just kind of like, you know, it's been a really, not to say that it hasn't been like challenging, obviously, like it's a lot to go from my bedroom to like signing a major deal to moving to LA to sharing the stage with Papa Roach to getting millions of streams and like going viral over and over again and like comments and weird messages and like all kinds of stuff. Like it is a lot to like go from 0 to 100 in a few months, you know, like the way it's happened. But also I'm kind of one of those like people that always knew that like this is my path, and like always knew that music was what I was gonna do, and like it was just a matter of time, you know. So now that it's happening, I'm like, okay, like I'm not surprised. Like it's happening. This is what I've imagined in my head for years, and it just so happens that I'm living it now, and it kind of feels the way I thought it was gonna feel.
Manifested completely right there. I bring up something on my sword because this isn't the only kind of collaboration. You've also got Chad Kroeger from Nickelback on there with a remix of Damn. Nickelback, Papa Roach sort of came to prominence from the same era. What is it about that time in rock that maybe speaks to you?
It's what I grew up loving. You know, it's what I grew up listening to. And to me, it's an era of music that has been sort of, it's had a lot of haters, you know, it's kind of had a lot of trash talkers about it. And it's also been sort of just kind of feels forgotten or something. Like people forgot that rock was dominating the Billboard charts and like the early 2000s, and even like, you know, from basically, you know, all throughout 2000 to 2010, basically, you know, rock and alternative rock and even like some hard rock and stuff, you know, was dominating the charts, and it was like the cool thing to listen to. It was what was hot. And basically, you know, from 2010 to 2020, you know, to me, rock has not been that. You know, it has been kind of shoved to the wayside for, you know, newer, and that's just the way it goes. You know, I get new things come along all the time, and you know, new pushes out the old, and old, you know, everything just always goes like this. But I've always grown up loving rock and metal, and like I just want, I feel so passionate now about like making it sound cool again, making it sound new again. And you know, people, just feels like it's a genre that has just gotten stuck in the mud in a lot of ways, and it needs a young new like flag bearer. You know, it needs a new push to dominate again. You know what I mean? And so that's what, and it's all just basically from my love of like what I grew up listening to. Like it's what I know, it's what I grew up listening to, it's what has influenced me the most. So of course, like my music is gonna you know, it's gonna pull from that stuff. We're all influenced by something, you know. You can't, it's impossible. It's like, even like everything new comes from at least two existing things, even humans. You know, like it's just the way things are. Like in order to make a new thing, you have to take something that already exists and combine it and make something new. And that's how it's always been. So, you know.
Yeah, thinking about that time, I mean, it was, as you're saying, it was a time when heavier music, much heavier music, had become mainstream. I mean, I remember it well. I was in the mix of all of that. For like Papa Roach, and even really going back and revisiting a lot of these songs, reading a lot of these lyrics, you know, it didn't seem like it was aggression for aggression's sake. And I think that was one of the attractive things about Papa Roach. Like there was a message. You were a storyteller going through it. Do you feel like the message was heard at the time?
Absolutely. I feel like it was heard, man. I think it was because when I went out on the road and I just met all these fans that were like, yo, this song saved my life. Your band saved my life. This record saved my life. And I've heard that time and time over and over and over. And I'm like, yeah, man, this is purpose driven music. I started to realize like we found our space in rock and in the creative fabric of music, and it is heard. And fuck, man, it's I'm grateful for that. I really am. You know, if I could, if I were, I hate to say the word, if I were to die tomorrow, right? Like I feel like with P Roach, like we've made a mark. We've made an impression, and you know, I got a lot more to say. I mean, we got a whole record, like we got a whole record done and ready to drop next year. So obviously we got a lot to say, but it is definitely, I'm grateful that we have been heard and have not gone unnoticed.
Yeah. Before that record drops, of course, as we mentioned at the beginning of this, there's a new greatest hits coming out, the best of two, the Better
Yeah.
Noise Years, which I think is one of the great titles right there, the Better Noise Years.
Yeah.
And I'll just quickly bring that up too, because there's more Broken as Me. You got a new version of that, right? With Danny Worsnop of Asking Alexandria on there. And it seems like there has been a bit of house cleaning, like re-recording his songs. I know the pandemic put part of that in play, but there's also,
Yeah.
that seems to always be the thing when you're an artist and you've been around for long enough, you have that nagging thing where you hear one of your old songs, you're like, I wish I could just do that one thing to that song. Has that been a little bit of this, what's going on?
Well, us really, it's just a way to celebrate the music, to be honest. For me, it's like once we've done something, it's like I can play the shoulda, woulda, coulda game with it, but it's like Jeris said, it's a snapshot in time. And so for us, this was a way to like re-record these pieces and then also throw them out to other artists and see what they would do with these pieces. And so we have a few different reimaginations of other songs that are in the works as well. And so COVID has given us the opportunity and the time to go in, and instead of being on the road and being out there and slugging it out, it's like, all right, well, how can we fuck with this old shit a little bit while we're writing new stuff? And it just keeps the creative wheels turning. And for us, I think it's like, if we stop, it feels like you're going to get rusty and you ain't going to get back and get your groove back. So we just keep moving,
Well, it's so rare that any band gets a number 2 best of. So
yeah, well, it bugs me out. I'm like, what's the point of this shit anyways, man? It's like, but hey, man, it's another way to create something to celebrate this legacy that we worked so hard to create. And it's fucking dope, man. Like I gotta pinch myself sometimes and go, yo, this is really happening. Like, I got to pick out the vinyl for this thing and I'm tripping through all these dope different vinyl. And I'm like, that stuff is fun to me.
Mm-hmm.
And, developing the artwork and the layout. And, we know this is a collector's piece, right? This is something for the hardcore fans out there. And we put something really special together for the fans. And, so it is a rad time for our band. And, to be celebrated by our homie right here, Jeris, bringing some fire to that track, Last Resort. That's another piece, another iron in the fire, another thing that stakes our claim. And like, we ain't fucking going nowhere. We're still here. We still ripping it. We got more to say, more to come,
Well, flip it the other way real quick, Jeris. What's we've heard Jacoby's 2021 and 22 plans. What's coming up for you next?
Yeah, dude. I'm on a course for world domination.
Yeah.
Okay? I just part of this like conversation to me is it's really like it's easy to get so caught in the weeds and like so like into all the details and so everything, and it's like at the end of the day, like we probably all got into music for the same reason, and that it's just fun. It's fun and it feels good to do. So, of course, The Last Resort Reloaded has gotten a whole handful of haters and stuff. And to me, it's not that serious. It's music. It's fun. I'm doing it because we're doing it because we love it and it's fun to do. And that's what I always want to come out of my music. And that's what I feel like rock has lacked. It's just feels like it's just gone to taking itself way too seriously. And, it used to be the soundtrack to good times. It used to be the music that would piss your parents off and all that stuff. And it just lost that. And so my plan for 2021 is to bring that back and to, let everybody know that rock is about to dominate the 20s. But it's not going to sound like the same, it's not going to sound like your mom's, it ain't going to sound like Metallica, what I mean?
Right.
It's not going to sound like it came, it's going to sound like it came from the future. It's going to sound like it came from 2030. And that's what it needs to be exciting and be fun. And, I just get so excited about the idea of like, man, what is music going to sound like in 10 years? Like, whoa, what kind of music is there going to be? What kind of genres are going to be? It's just, for some reason, that question really just gets me out of bed in the morning.
Mhm.
I don't know why. It just does. It's so fascinating to me. So I just want to play whatever part I'm destined to play in that.
I appreciate that. I've said the same thing, that for rock to survive, it has to be a little dangerous, at least a little bit. It can be a lot dangerous, but it has to be a little bit dangerous.
Yeah, man, I feel that. I will say this real quick, just to jump in. Um, in hip hop music, there's this thing that has happened throughout the course of that genre's life, where it's like old school hip hop came through, and then this new hip hop was coming through, and the elders of the scene would embrace the next genre and the next scene and the next scene and the next scene, and it seems like that kind of lacks in rock and roll. Like, we're real good putting things in boxes and going, how do we separate this from that, and how is this sub post, emo, blah blah blah. And I'm like, fuck, let's just embrace each other, y'all. Let's lift each other up, and let's learn from each other in this rock world, and that'll be the thing that helps evolve it. So I look at a lot of these young cats that are coming out with music, and I'm like, I celebrate it, man. I think it's cool to watch people push it in their own way, and in their own, bring their own fresh talent to what they think rock can be. And so I'm not one of those cats. It's like, what are you doing to rock and roll these days? Oh, what? It's like, Zeppelin was that Led Zeppelin. We don't need to hear Led Zeppelin again. We already got them. You know what I mean? Like, who's the next shit? So yeah, that's my 2 cents.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. Oh, go on.
Sorry, just jump in real quick. And that energy of like, what are you doing to rock? That like kind of cranky old man energy is exactly what rock always fought against.
Mhm.
Rock was always the genre that got that reaction from people. Whoa, this isn't music. What are you doing? And to see like rock fans just go, this isn't music. This isn't real rock. This isn't whatever. I'm like, you just turned into exactly what, it's like, like you became what you always fought against.
Right. Right. No, I think it's really fun watching what the two of you all are doing with each other, the music together, apart. Jeris, I'm so looking forward to seeing where you do take rock. I appreciate the mentality that you've got here. That's important. Congratulations on My Sword to begin with. Jacoby, congratulations on 20 years of being a powerhouse in rock, and for everything to come, man. It's been great talking to the both of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it, man.
You too, brother.
Take care out there. We'll see you both around.
Oh yeah. Thank you.
All right, bye.